So welcome, Michelle and Tom. Tom, I know we have you for a short period of time, and you have a
Sadly,
ton of knowledge. So, what do you have to share with us about soundtracks, movie music, scores?
well, I guess a quick history. Music has been a part of film long before even talking has been.
Yep.
They would obviously play. You used to have a piano player or whatever in a theater who would play along with the silent films of the era. And then, of course, that graduated to what we now know as the score when we get to sound in film. And there's that soundtrack, and then there's the other type of soundtrack, which I generally call the pop soundtrack, which usually is made up of pop hits of that era, or usually a few newer songs or what have you. But I'm sure we'll get into the many types. I've got quite a few examples to the left and to the right of me. I don't know, so we'll have to see here what I got.
Do you have?
I know I'm stuck in the middle with you. That's all I know.
Do you have a favorite soundtrack, or no, not favorite? Do you remember the first soundtrack you purchased? You actually went to the store and bought?
It's funny you say that, because both. My first record album of all time was Thriller.
Okay.
But my first cassette was the soundtrack for La Bamba, actually.
Oh.
And my first CD was the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 soundtrack. So, so yes, the soundtrack has played a major part of my life. And really, I always had a love of movies and music and television, and all three of those all kind of coalesce, in a weird way, or how we want to put it. Or they're very sympathetic, or I don't know the word to look for exactly, but yeah, there's been some great soundtracks over time. My favorite, though, if you're talking music soundtrack, like the score, would probably have to be John Williams' Superman score. I think that's a tough one to beat. It captures quite a bit of everything I feel like Superman is in his world. And as far as like pop soundtracks, probably one I actually have here, believe it or not.
Ooh.
Figure out. Here it is. I have a few versions of it, actually. Because there's a bit of a history with this one.
Okay.
I have two versions of this one for a reason. We have.
Oh.
Wow.
Now, the reason there's two different versions of these is because the early prints, Eddie Murphy insisted that the Rick James song BHC, I Can't Stop, was on there, even though it's not in the film.
Yeah.
BHC actually stands for Beverly Hills Cop. It was a song that Rick James specifically wrote for the movie that never wound up in it. And since it was a kind of an ordeal, they replaced it on this version with Emergency.
So which version is harder to find? Are they both hard to find? That one?
This one. Yeah, the song's out there. You can find it on YouTube. And as you can see, I even had to get myself a radio copy.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
One that you get from the radio station.
Oh, that's
It's that a little bit more difficult to find. But yeah, it's probably my favorite soundtrack as far as pop soundtracks go.
And it's funny you bring that one up, because I got a message, a DM from someone else here talking about Beverly Hills Cop 2. And he was embarrassed to admit that. What were you going to say, Copa?
Well, I said I wanted to admit something to you that I never admitted to anyone else, and that was Beverly Hills Cop 2's original score is by far superior to Beverly Hills Cop.
There's something to that. The score? Yeah.
The score itself, Harold Faltermeyer's score, is far superior to his earlier works in Beverly Hills Cop. I felt really bad for admitting that to Zach's first instead of my wife, but I had to get it off my chest.
And the
Funny
first
you
one
mentioned that, because I do have the score for the first one on record. Wow. This is just the score. I have this on CD as well, but yeah, so this is a really great score. Yeah.
Well, and we have that.
Do you know I've never actually seen Beverly Hills Cop? We've been meaning to.
You got to get that on your list.
Oh yeah, that's a classic. The first two are really good. You'll really enjoy the first two.
They're funny, right? Like
oh yeah,
funny action, yeah.
Okay.
The first one's more comedy based than action based, and then the second one kind of flips it around where it's more action based than comedy.
Yeah.
But you still get both out of.
There's a
both
pretty good
films.
argument to be made for the second soundtrack, though. I would just say it's just a tad weaker than the original, but you got George Michael, you've got Bob Seger's first #1 hit on there. I mean,
Wow.
it's a nice soundtrack.
Yeah, that
And-
Tony Scott, he put together a really good soundtrack. Because the year prior to that was Top Gun, which was a huge success soundtrack
Why do
wise.
you mention that when I have that in my pile here?
Oh, more
I'm
show
gonna-
and tell.
ready to go for Tom. Yep. Well, Tom has another channel, Mead Radio, and he plays movie music. So he's like the guy, the
That
man,
is
the myth,
so
the
cool.
legend.
Yeah, I literally
here.
just grabbed a handful. I didn't even really. I mean, I kind of knew what I was grabbing, but like, I swear I had Top Gun here somewhere, but I'm not finding it.
So, Tom, are you more of a fan of the soundtrack or the score?
Ooh.
It depends. I'm an '80s kid, so.
Oh,
Ooh.
I love that.
I mean, speaking of '80s soundtracks, I mean, again, another one that, I mean, top 40 heaven right here. Because I mean,
Yep.
you guys, especially the younger kids out there, have no idea what it was like to have to find music because you go out. It's so easy now with digital, right?
Yeah.
Like,
right.
it's almost so different. Like to get something like this that had not one, but like, 4 or 5 top 10 hits or whatever on it was a rarity. That's why I love Beverly Hills Cop. It's got like 5 top 10 hits on it or more.
Wow, that's cool.
Like it's just a rarity to have something like that. Speaking of another one that had a lot of top hits, there's another one that a lot of people,
Yeah.
it's like a must-have in everybody's
Yeah.
collection there.
He
Yeah.
thought
does.
part of
He
the char-
does.
I think part of the charm of those are the awesome like art on the
Right.
album art. It's so
Speaking
good.
of awesome album art, here you go.
There you go, Raiders.
Raiders
Oh.
of the Lost Ark.
Yeah.
There's a score
Yeah.
for
Oh,
you.
that's amazing.
Yeah, this is actually a newer
From
printing
William.
of it, but yeah, it's a good one.
Wow.
Now, is that the extended edition, or is that
Yes,
just the regular?
it's like the
Okay.
two record set. I also have it on CD, but that's the thing is I like having things on record, but I usually will end up getting the CD anyway for a cleaner copy. But yeah.
Enough. I am Gandalf. And Gandalf.
Gandalf means me.
Gandalf? Not the wandering wizard, per se.
Second most expensive soundtrack I ever
Insane.
bought. 40 some
really?
bucks for a record. Yes.
You have
get
that
that
on
sound-
vinyl?
Yes.
Oh,
Can you show us that one too?
That one's downstairs, but I might have a picture of it. Hang on.
All right.
and hello, lovely Sherry. Thanks for coming. Ginger Adventure.
It's not as
welcome.
cool as you'd think. It's just like a green cover that says The Hobbit. It's not very flashy.
I've never
And then that-
seen
There
it.
was actually 2 versions of it. I've got the lesser of the 2, but yeah.
And how much did that set you back? That soundtrack?
That one, it was like 40, 50 bucks, something like that. But that was a couple of years ago too. It's probably worth more than that now. It was sealed on top of it all, which was amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, it looks. It's they had a better looking cover one, but it's the same album. But this is the cover I have here. It's kinda
Did you
lame.
open it up?
Of course, because I had to copy it onto my hard drive.
Oh,
Nice.
Yeah,
I
there's a
love it.
better one with a bunch. Well, the soundtrack's the same, but like I said, it's got better art on it or whatever. But
Whoa.
Yeah, there you go.
Wow.
Wow, is that an 8-track?
Is that an 8-track?
no, it's actually a 4 CD set.
Oh,
That's
okay.
the
one of the
that's the
more
extended
rare-
edition, right? Like each
Um,
movie got 2.
No, actually, it's only 1 per movie. But what this has is a rare bonus disc that has stuff on it that hasn't been available in other versions. Whoops, and I dropped the
Ooh.
cover. Like it's got the Lappy Neck song, from the Jabba Palace and stuff like that. Different versions of different things. The Ewok celebration at the end with the Yub Nubs actually on it. Little things like that, little cool versions of it and stuff like that. It's a single disc per movie and then a bonus disc full of stuff from across the 3. But this is of course a soundtrack that's been released to death. But this was one of the last releases before we had the special editions
Mm.
back in the day. So yeah, this is 93. So if that helps.
I love that.
Speaking of amazing and Spider-Man,
Oh.
we've got
Oh,
the
there it
original
is.
Spider-Man. Here's a newer collector's edition of Danny Elfman's score. It's a 3-disc set. So this is some of the newer cool stuff we're getting now compared to years ago. You know, they're really putting a lot into making sure you get every little bit and piece.
Oh yeah.
And you know, for the collectors, because a lot of us have done it ourselves, so they're like, well, we might as well start helping them out and take their money while we're at it. But somebody mentioned TV soundtracks, and that's the one area I was like, don't.
Oh,
When I
TV
got up here-
soundtracks are so good.
And I got one here, and that's it. It's technically a TV soundtrack. The Great
Oh.
Pumpkin.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
I have plenty of series ones, but I was like, shit, I forgot to grab one for TV series, but like that's the closest one I got there. So
I think one of my favorite recent TV soundtracks is Westworld.
Oh
Season
my
1.
God, Ramin Djawadi, so
Yeah.
good. Oh, the player piano covers on that.
He kills it with that, and they always fit with the tone of the episode too. And it's not just covers, yeah. And sometimes it's in the background, which is even better. And so I love the way that they fit that in. That was one of my favorites. But one recently that is not standard really is All Quiet on the Western Front. Have you guys seen that?
yes,
Yeah.
that was an interesting score.
Yeah.
See, that did what I think Hans Zimmer's trying to do.
Yep.
Only better. I hate
Agree.
saying it, guys. I kind of dug that score, even though it's a weird score, but it
Mhm.
really gets under your skin.
Oh, of course.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Magnificent Seven.
The original with Elmer Bernstein there. Yeah. And then the only
That's a
I did
fantastic theme.
It is. And of course, it became more well known when I was a kid as the Marlboro theme, but most people are probably too young to remember that. And then we have here, because I got almost everything, I'm like, except for the TV one I messed up on, but I remembered a musical at least.
oh yes.
Oh yeah.
Nice gatefold.
Oh, the art.
And very nice.
That's
gatefold.
I
awesome.
love that.
Yes.
Wow.
Of course, Little Shop, yes. Which is ironic because the guys that did this did Little Mermaid and Aladdin and stuff. Yeah.
Those were good. Did you guys did the Disney soundtracks, like classic Disney a lot?
Yeah, I like the classic ones.
Yeah, they were good.
I know your Star Wars collection reminded me of this thing I did get in the 90s. I was from Costco or something, and it was Disney A Legacy of Song, and it had 6 CDs. It was so good. It had everything that Disney's ever done, plus all of the soundtrack songs or theme park songs. Oh, so good. I used to listen to that so much when I was a kid.
Bear McCree is another good one.
Yeah,
McCready,
as far as modern composers, definitely. Just some of the other goodies I got here just to show off. Again, here's another one of these new collectible ones. This is a Jerry Goldsmith score.
Yeah, the
Burbs.
Burbs.
Oh, the Burbs.
But funnily enough, this is one of those scores where Jerry liked to reuse a lot of his same music. So a bunch of pieces of this wound up showing up in Gremlins too.
Oh yeah, who was that does that? That's really good.
A lot
That
of
did
them do
the
that
Penny
stuff.
Dreadful soundtrack. I can't think of this guy's name. I think it's
And then we
Abel Kowalski or something like that.
Oh,
We've got some Basil Polidorus here with
Yes.
Conan the
Yes.
Destroyer.
Yeah.
This is another one of the newer full-on complete soundtracks. They got the 2-disc set there. Here's my newer version of The Godfather. I have all these originally, but this is the new full-on complete one. And then getting back to some pop, this was a huge soundtrack, despite the film itself.
Oh yeah, Godzilla was a really big soundtrack.
Oh, yeah.
Huge
The other-
soundtrack.
Oh, yeah.
The other
Yeah,
huge
yeah, it
soundtrack,
was.
which was really cool, was Spawn. Do you remember the
Mhm.
Spawn soundtrack?
Yes,
Because
yeah.
Oh yeah, that was metal.
they
stuff.
they meshed metal bands with EDM bands at the time.
And then, of course, we
that
got
was really cool.
a remastered version of Friday the 13th Part 2 score. Yeah,
Wow.
It just come out. And this is one I've got on both record and CD. Turtles 3. But it looks the same, so it's just one was a
Yeah.
record. And
Wow, that's cool.
Turtles.
of course, this is neat because this is I'm not a huge fan of this, but sometimes just as long as I have both versions, they'll do something funky and cool with the record. Like this one's got all the
Whoa,
bounciness.
Wow,
Yeah.
that looks really cool.
that is
You'll
so
get
cool.
Do a lot of neat ones like that now. I mean, it's kind of at the detriment to the sound, but yeah, it's still neat to look at.
The Matrix is another one that had a good soundtrack with mixing
Yes.
mixing artist types as well. That was one of my favorite.
Oh yeah,
Techno
that was-
and rap and rock and all
Yeah.
that business, yeah.
that was fun.
Let's see here. What else do I got here? Well, we got new soundtrack here. A new old soundtrack, let's say. Guardians of the Galaxy
Guardians-
Volume
Oh, that's
7.
Oh,
so
yeah.
good.
Those
Oh
are
my
good.
god.
This one just come
First
out.
one.
So yeah, and then this is one of those ones they would mix a lot of stuff on soundtracks. Like this is one from back in the '90s where it had a
Flashback.
couple of newer songs on it, plus some older classics. That's just a basic soundtrack.
Forrest Gump soundtrack is really good.
Oh, that's a classic, yeah.
Yes,
and
it
the
is.
score is really good too.
But big soundtracks, like we're talking ones that, were crazy big. Here's another crazy big one.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
massive.
Like everybody had that one.
I think both my sister and my mom had that soundtrack, and they were playing in rival rooms.
Here's one that's a
in
mix.
89.
It's got both the score and what few pop songs were on the song in the movie. So that's a rare mix one. Here's another example of the newer, fancier editions they do sometimes. Here's one for Roger Rabbit
Okay.
with the score
That-
on it. From
Oh,
Is that a new
Alan
pressing of
Silvestri.
it?
Yeah, it's a new pressing. It's just the same old score though. But here's one that I think just about everybody's probably heard the songs from, but
Yeah,
never
they do.
seen the movie.
hmm
And then here's kind of a predecessor to I would say like Guardians of the Galaxy and Stranger Things.
Oh,
Chill.
the Big Chill. That's so good. I love
Yeah.
that
Never seen that.
soundtrack.
As
It's
far as the
so-
soundtrack goes, because it's got a ton of 60s hits on it.
It's so good. It's got a lot of
Yeah.
60s music and it's
Yep.
got a lot of like blues and New Orleans Zydeco and stuff. It's really good.
And now this isn't John Williams, but this was has some John Williams themes on it, of course.
Mm.
This is a special one for the time. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to show you guys this or not. I don't know if it'll show up. But there is Superman symbols
Oh, I see it. I see
that
it.
is
That's
cool.
in the record.
Wow.
That looks awesome.
So when it spins around,
Yeah.
it's really
Oh,
bitchin'.
that's cool.
And this was original from back in 1980 or 81 or whatever it was when 80 or 81. 80.
That record's as old as I am.
It's as old as I am too, yes. And yeah, just about done here. I only got a couple more and then I'll get out of your guys' hair so you guys can have
Oh,
fun.
this is cool.
Yeah, this is
You have a
amazing.
cat, Tom?
I do have a cat. Yes. His name is Asshole. He's a black cat. Here is a vintage
Asking the real
classic
questions.
one. Now this is probably one of the most
I was
popular
gonna mention
early
that. Yeah.
pop soundtracks besides like
Exaggerate.
an Elvis soundtrack or something like that. This was one of those first times where they actually had a pop group come in and do a full-on soundtrack like this with The Graduate and Pink Floyd and a few others would follow, but this was just this is a groundbreaking soundtrack right here.
Yep.
And this is vintage. This is an OG pressing.
Wow,
Oh,
that's
nice.
cool.
And then these are some compilations and special, like they do some really fancy special editions. Now this one is really nice. I don't know if you recognize it from the cover. What it
Almost
is?
Famous.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, look at that.
And it
I've
slides
seen
out
that
into a
movie too
nice
many times.
book.
I was actually gonna say that I love the
looks like his
soundtrack to that
notebook.
movie.
It's
That is
amazing
so
what they
cool.
did here. There's so much stuff to go through in here. Like got
Wow.
tickets. Like it's a
Wow,
5-disc set. It's
cool.
got the score plus even the Zeppelin songs are on here, which were tough to score to get on here. But yeah,
That's
it's really neat.
awesome.
Yeah, so it looks just like his notebook. It's got all the little drawings and stuff on it. You can barely see them here. but-
Where did you get that?
This was last. I think it came out last year for the anniversary.
Okay.
It's not cheap. I don't know how much it is now, but and here's another one. This was one that from this last year that I was really excited to get. This was actually released in the UK. I don't know if you guys
Oh.
recognize the saying
Yeah.
or not.
Yes.
But
I
it's-
like it.
The John
Ferris
Hughes
Bueller?
mixtapes. It's a 4-disc set of a bunch of songs from John Hughes films. They're talking everything from Pretty in Pink, 16 Candles, Planes, Trains, and
Wow.
Automobiles, Great Outdoors, Ferris Bueller, just tons and tons more. Uncle Buck, National Lampoon's Vacation, Weird Science, Some Kind of Wonderful, basically just all the greatest hits and some rarities. And it even came with a little record that's not with this. It's in a box I got put away of a 45 of, I can't remember. It was the beat from Ferris Bueller. I remember was on it. Yeah, this is a really nice collection here. This one's still pretty readily available. I got this for like $50, so it was really nice price on that. But yeah, no, that's some of the cool stuff I brought to show you guys. I wish I had some more, but that was the quickest I could grab some stuff.
Well, thanks for Tom for joining
That's
us for on
cool.
Yes.
very short notice and bringing your knowledge with you.
Okay, I got
Very much
one more
appreciate
rare one
that.
here. I take that back. This actually come with a movie. I don't know if you guys recognize this.
Wow. No.
If you're a John Carpenter fan, you might.
Is it Halloween?
It is The Fog. And what they
Oh,
did with
wow.
all these new 4K releases, they did them for Halloween and some of the other ones too. He redid his themes, so they're new versions of the themes, and they released them with it on these little 45 records with colors and stuff on them. So it's really neat.
Ooh, I
looking.
like it.
Yep, there you go. There's some of the fancier stuff I had. I think that's everything.
Wow.
I don't think I
that's
missed
so cool.
anything. So yeah.
That
That's
is
an
cool.
impressive collection, Tom.
It
Very.
is.